Good evening, everyone, and we're now on our third episode of our I Am Still Human series. You must be wondering what am I doing here because we're missing Father Felmar. Father Felmar is en route to Manila. He's in Vietnam right now, so he's flying, and we wish him safe travels. And tonight we have a wonderful guest. He told me, have you not we were not able to get another guest. That's why it's just me. No, it was on purpose that we just have one guest tonight because 1 hour, 2 hours is not enough for the wisdom of our guest tonight. So, as we begin our show tonight, let me just start with a short video, which will determine our discussion.
Look closely at your social feeds today, and you will find an environment that feels less like a community and more like a chaotic flood. We are constantly wading through a stream of manipulated images and algorithmic noise. The platforms hosting this content aren't built to show us what is true. They are engineered by a technocratic system with a single overriding goal: to hijack human psychology and maximize the amount of attention we spend staring at the screen. When hyper-realistic deepfakes enter that ecosystem, the damage goes far beyond a single lie or a ruined reputation. It destroys our baseline ability to agree on basic facts, eroding our capacity to recognize a shared public truth. This animated diagram illustrates what happens to an individual within this environment. As a user is bombarded by these synthetic, fabricated data streams, the vital tethers that connect them to real people, their social trust, begin to snap under the pressure. It creates a bizarre modern paradox. We're processing more data about other people than at any point in human history, yet we find ourselves profoundly isolated from genuine community. Constantly interrogating everything you see to figure out if it's real or fake is exhausting. That fatigue drives many users to just give up, retreating from the public square entirely. This systemic deception creates a vacuum of trust that makes reality itself feel too painful and chaotic to engage with. To cope with that exhaustion, many are turning away from the noise of the public square and seeking refuge in something smoother. They retreat to the frictionless, entirely private comfort of an AI companion. Synthetic care is deeply appealing to a tired mind. It offers instant, flawless validation, agreeing with your every word, without ever demanding the messy vulnerability or effort that a real relationship requires. This diagram breaks down how that illusion works. When you speak to an AI, your input is filtered through rigid data processing blocks to calculate a statistically probable output. It is a cold computational process, completely devoid of emotion. Because the machine is merely sorting language through complex code, it isn't feeling warmth. It is simply mimicking the syntax of human connection. Compare that computational output with actual human empathy on the right. Genuine connection isn't a straight, predictable line. It is an erratic, pulsating, two-way feedback loop, rooted in shared vulnerability and unpredictable responses. This points to a core pastoral warning outlined in the encyclical Magnifica Humanitas. Pope Leo XIV reminds us that a machine lacks a soul and is incapable of experiencing suffering. That inability to suffer creates an absolute barrier between us and the code. Because an artificial intelligence cannot feel pain, it can never genuinely love. Synthetic care is ultimately an empty mirror. It acts as a digital placebo that might temporarily numb our relational wounds, but keeps us entirely alone in the room. The perfection of the simulation eventually becomes its own flaw. A user begins to feel the weight of what's missing, the friction, the disagreement, and the genuine unpredictability of another person. The sterile perfection of the screen stands in sharp contrast to the vibrant, unpredictable sounds of real human life happening just outside that digital bubble. Escaping this technocratic trap isn't something that happens by passively swiping. It requires a conscious, physical action to sever the connection to the machine. Choosing to log off acts as a defiant assertion of personal agency and human dignity. This brings us to a concept known as reclaiming the town well. Like the ancient physical spaces where people once gathered to draw water and converse, we have an active duty to seek out and protect device-free, face-to-face environments. True community restoration cannot happen through a screen. It requires the courage to step away from synthetic comfort and re-enter the shared, physical spaces where truth actually lives. Sustaining a community requires physical presence, shared burdens, and an embrace of the messiness found in actual relationships. The technocratic systems surrounding us will continuously attempt to replace these challenging, demanding human bonds with the convenience of code. The choice we face is stark. Will you surrender your humanity to the safety of a synthetic illusion, or will you actively fight to protect your real-world connections? A machine can simulate friendship, empathy, and conversation, but genuine community, the kind that heals and sustains us, must be lived, fought for, and experienced face to face.
Okay, so to help us unpack these realities that is now entering into our ecosystem, I have the honor of introducing a good friend and a well-renowned, media educator, media practitioner, former vice president of SIGNIS Asia, and hopingly upcoming member of the board of SIGNIS World. Friends, Dr. Magimai Pragasam. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Maggie.
Good evening, Pie.
Good evening. Good evening.
I
Thank
feel
you. Thank you for joining you. I know you just came from Japan and I hope you've rested. Now I'm going to dive right into the question, Doc Maggie. Now, for all our viewers, if you want to join in the conversation, you would see a QR code. You can scan that and ask questions, give your insights, give your comments, and we'll surely get back to you to try to answer whatever you have in mind. So, Doc Maggie, in your engagement with young people, how has AI, algorithm, and technology affected their level of trust and relationships?
firstly, Pi, I would like to thank you. In outset, I would like to very sincerely thank you for the wonderful opportunity because I know you for a long, long time, and you're one of the finest trainer
Oh,
I've seen in my life. You are vibrant, you are fully talented, charged. Your communication, your visual expression, absolutely amazing. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Happy to be with you today.
Okay.
Yes, today's youth, they are pushed from number one, public to private communication.
Mhm.
If you think of social media and AI, they are the two sides of the same coin. Okay, and AI is a operation engine of social media. Okay, so today the social media and AI have pushed young people into a room from public, and their communication is highly emotional, highly personalized. This is what happens. And what happens is, they don't trust actually the content in social media,
They
and
don't. They don't.
they
But,
don't
but, but they keep coming back to that.
because of addiction, because they want to build relationship, they want to be accepted, they search for identity, personal identity, self identity, in the space, and they want to be recognized, they want to be accepted, and they want to acquire self esteem. These are all the reasons why they are in social media today. More than that, they get addicted. When you think of addiction, there are three C's come to the picture. The
Okay.
first thing is control. You don't have control on yourself. Okay, you remain uncontrolled. Because the AI and social media try to attract you, try to influence you, and pull them towards it. The second C is compulsion. Somehow you're compelled to be in
Mhm.
social media. The dopamine, in the dopamine chemical, and the acceptability and the appreciation it gives. The acceptance which they don't get in the family, in among their friends, the recognition. They don't get among their friends and the families, etc. And the search for that in the social media. With the help of AI. And the third
Mhm.
C is consequence. they don't realize that these are the consequences. They are mentally affected, they are physically affected. We will talk about it a little later. These are the
Mhm.
three C's: compulsion, control, and consequence. They are there. So they are pushed to be in the social media. Sometimes they spend hours together. The hours together. Parents complain to me, my child till 2 o'clock in the morning, till 3 o'clock in the morning. She's browsing, she's sending messages, and she's responding to the companions. I don't know, even she may not know who is on the other side, but constantly and continuously she's interacting with other people. On one hand, they don't trust. This is one of the reasons why they go for, the fact check apps, etc. And they go to community, they search the answers in several applications and several sources, etc. They don't trust, but because of the addiction, because of the push, because of the pull, they are in the social media. So as far as trust is concerned, yes, they don't trust. Okay. But they are forced to be there. Yeah.
Okay. So, but we're not saying that social media or AI or algorithm is bad. We're not saying that,
So,
because I think these things are already intertwined in our daily lives.
yeah.
We can't get away from that. So how do we make it work for us that we're not addicted, we're not, pulled into the negative spaces?
Yeah. So we always take this very famous example of knife. The
Okay.
knife can be used to cut apple. At the same time, knife can be used to kill people. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
So two sides of the same coin. Social media and AI, they are gifts from God.
Yeah,
Even Pope,
I would agree. I would agree.
gift from God. It's a invention of mankind. It's the gifts of science. So
Mhm.
man should be able to use it appropriately, usefully, beneficially for the humanity. But there are some people who want to exploit people, exploit young people, by giving, the emotionally charged information, emotionally charged content. They say 97% of the deep fake content or meant for adults, adult
Uh-huh,
oriented
uh-huh.
content, 97%. And say, for example, India, is the sixth nation in the whole world, which is vulnerable to adult content in the deep fake. We don't say deep fake is bad. I have seen sisters using deep fake, Jesus talking to you,
It helps in a way. It helps.
Mother
Oh,
Mary appearing and talking to you. This is something, amazing. I know when I see those kind of videos, I kneel down and pray along with the video. So you can use social media and deepfake for several good reasons, but unfortunately, for profit motives, for personal interest, it's being misused.
yeah.
Youth are in social media not knowing that there are predators there. They can attack you, they can capture you, they can attack you, they can mislead you. It's a very vulnerable situation. So we never say that social media or AI is bad. It's good.
How you use it.
It's all how you use it. Should we use it? Are we using it for the growth of humanity, development of society, or for something else? For mere entertainment, mere for pleasure, mere for something useless, goals and ambitions, etc. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm seeing there, Doc Maggie, there are two sides of it. The ones who are producing the content or using social media and AI and everything else. And the other side is the receiver. And you talked about emotionally charged content.
Yes.
Why, well, one, we know that because emotion is the best way to capture a person. But for us on the receiving end, while we appreciate highly emotional content, it's something that's very, we appreciate that. How can we continue appreciating those kinds of content without really changing our behavior to the negative? What do
Yeah.
we need?
Yeah, it's possible. In the past, we used to talk about a third parent concept.
Mhm.
the first parent. First parents are original parents.
Mhm.
These original parents, they always tell their children, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, behave properly, do this, do that. Too much conditioning. So today's children don't like that. They want to be more free, want to be more flexible, etc. Number two, the second parents, the teachers, they are worse than the first parents.
Worse.
Yeah, they always talk about assignments, projects, and examinations, and lessons, and assignments, etc. And the youth are, bored with that. They are totally, they hate it. Okay, but the third parents, the so-called mass media and social media and AI, they give total entertainment, the emotionally charged. There's light, there's drumbeat, there's jumping, there's music, there's color. It's fast, it's instant. It's a fabricated, filled with a lot of fake news, fake content, exciting. It's all about McLuhan's theory. Message. All about artificial intelligence and social media are exciting. The information data, the sparkling, the color, the lights. You know,
It's multi-sensory. All the senses are
Absolutely.
touched.
That's the medium. So no wonder these today's youth are attracted towards that. Okay. So since because they are attracted towards that, the owners of companies, they should be exploiting the youth today. Okay. They should be more responsible. At the same time, we have to teach youth. We have to teach youth. We have to teach young people to be more discriminative. Use this advancement of science for good reasons, for healthy entertainment, for
Mhm,
development
mhm,
of the
mhm,
self. Look at your interiority. Look at self. Have inward journey. Look at, there's nothing equal to self-love. Love yourself. Love yourself. There are umpteen number of things. There are tons and tons of things to love in yourself. But unfortunately, the children look outside. Okay, this is one of the reasons why they fall into the trap. And the predators and various other people, they are ready to exploit these innocent young people. And at one point of time, they get addicted, and they are not able to come out of it. So we lose young people. But as you rightly pointed out, people like media educators, institutions, and organizations should be able to devise means and methods to
mhm,
give healthy entertainment, orient them, train them, orient them, so that these kind of AI and social media are used for a good purpose. Okay.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Uh,
Now, now,
yeah.
Doc Maggie, now one of the things that I noticed with the social media content is that they're getting shorter and shorter. At
Yeah.
one point, it was just 60 seconds. Now I think it's shorter than that, and that affects how the young people appreciate information. If you talk to them for 30 minutes, they get bored. So it affects how they uh, um process information and how they their patience.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there is a direct effect in their behavior.
Yes.
There is
Yes.
a direct effect in their behavior.
Yes.
But so how do we get out of this loop? Because right now, like you said, people have exploited social media and they know that given fast, colorful, sparkling content and they capture the attention and then they sell something or they do something. But we're caught in this loop. So how do we, especially our young people, how do we bring them out and teach them patience, teach them to research, teach them to appreciate long content, teach them to think actually.
There are two sides. There's no harm in condensing the message, putting it in a capsule and giving to them. This is how the advertisement agencies are surviving. Okay, the concept is put into 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, they inform you, they attract you, they create interest in you, and then buy you. Finally, you're bought. within 10 seconds. Okay. In one way, it's good. Okay. Because within a very short time, you try to influence the other person and communicate very effectively. But in the long run, it has its own negative effects.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Use patience. Patience is one of the noblest character value that you have to develop in life.
True. Yes.
Children are losing patience. If assignment is given, straight away they go to chat GPT, tuck, 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 they get they make the print. They
No more research. No more research.
they file it and submit it. Okay. And if you want to know anything, straight away they go to Google, tuck, 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 they get the information. So all the search engines are being used to get the information very fast, but it affects their patience. Okay. If you don't have patience, you develop anxiety, you develop stress, you develop chaos, you get into confusion, lot of psychological disorders you get into. You need to be patient in life. Yeah, this is one. See, what we do is we teach we give a lot of exercises to young people.
Mhm, mhm,
Say, for example, mindfulness. Mindfulness is a technique given by Lord Buddha. Okay, you have five senses. Five senses are the gateways, main gateways through which you import the external world to your brain. Okay, to your mind. Sorry,
mhm,
when we were born, we had brain. Then
mhm,
later, it became mind. When we start putting sensory data into the
mhm.
brain, it became mind. Those are the five important gateways. So you have to sharpen them on a daily basis. Sharpen. When we were born, they were intact. Okay, they were full of efficiency. They were effective, etc. As we grow, the wear and tear, they lose their power. So we have to train young people to look properly, to listen properly, to hear patiently, to sense patiently, to feel fully, to taste nicely, to smell properly. There are series of exercises. Okay, so nothing can be done very fast. Nothing can be absorbed very fast. You need to give its own time. You have to be patiently watch people, listen to people. Listening is one of the. There are two very big communication skills. Number one, listening. Number two, feedback. When a person masters those two skills, he is a communication expert, we can say. So listening is very, very, very important. And in listening, you have to listen patiently. Okay, you have to listen patiently to your parents, to your teachers, to your mentors, to elderly people, to your friends, to your colleagues, everywhere. But whereas this AI and social media, they want you to be very fast, instant communication, everything you acquire very fast. That's not good. So while you are in social media, while social media make you function very fast, you have to develop the skills to be very patient. There are series of exercises we give in our media education sessions. How to be patient, and we see success stories. Children after the program, youth after the program, they say, sir, it's true that social media make us observe things very fast, but these exercises really help us to be patient. In life we have to be patient, patiently observe people, patiently listen to my parents, etc., because they are living in a different culture, we are living in a different culture. There are two different cultures. They should not clash with each other. So with my
Perfect.
parents, I have to be patient. With elderly people, with older people, I have to be patient. Even to read and write, I have to be patient. Unless I listen to my teacher patiently, I won't be importing the information the teacher is telling into my mind. Okay. So otherwise, it's a hop, hop, hop only, bits and pieces. Finally, I make a picture. Later, I find out, oh my God, I'm missing many things. Okay.
Yeah.
So only through exercises you make young people to be patient.
You know, people, I'd like to go back to what you said, the importance of listening, because now I notice that people hear you, but they don't listen to you. And sometimes while hearing or listening, they're actually, forming the response
Yeah.
to what you're saying. So it's not really absorbing, but trying to think, what will I say? What will I do next? So that's very important. And it's important, Doc Maggie, that we don't lose that skill. And it's not just for the young people, even older people. I see that they're hearing, but they're not listening anymore. And um, also, I'd like to point out that you said that, when you listen patiently, you're actually thinking. So the critical thinking is not lost if you learn patiently listening.
You are absolutely correct, Pai. What is the meaning of listening? What is the definition of listening? Listening is the art of selecting, organizing, and interpreting. Okay. Uh, Three things. First you have to select. You have to select the crucial, important, vital, the needed information. First you select, but usually human beings tend to select what they want.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. What if it's selected listening?
What they want and things which are familiar to them. Okay, so these are some of the problems the audience face. So they must select from the point of view of the sender. So number one, select. Number two, you organize. Put the first thing here, the second thing there, and third thing here, you organize. And finally, you interpret. You interpret based on your past experiences. Okay, so that means when you have lots and lots of experiences, your ability to interpret goes very high. If you don't know several things, your capacity to interpret also diminishes. This is one of the reasons why we always say read books, talk to people, observe, listen, enlarge your horizon, enlarge your knowledge, enlarge your, increase your experiences, etc. So, listening is an art of selecting, organizing, and interpreting. And very rightly, you pointed out, as I listen to you, as we listen to the others, we think what to do. There is a beautiful word called upise, UPISE. Listen, number one, to understand. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
First of all, there may be many things, there may be many outwardly disturbances, etc. Forget about everything else. Look at the person in front of you. Right now, my job, main task is to understand. Number two, listen patiently, the topic which you are talking. Listen to, UPISE, UPISC. Listen with patience, okay? Number three, listen with interest. You should show interest. You should only then the other person will be able to communicate without any censorship. How to listen with interest, head nod, verbal reaction, your facial expression, your body orientation. Okay, everything shows your interest, so that literally you're making the other person to come out more freely, without any reservation, without any inhibitions, etc. Okay, then number four, listen to support the other person. Arguments later, fighting later.
Very important point, Doc Maggie.
Right now, listen to support the other person, so that let him complete, let him say what he has to say. Okay. Finally, listen with, very importantly, empathy. Put yourself into the shoes of the other person and listen to him. Listen with empathy. Okay. So when you listen with this particular technique or PICE, UPISC, no, definitely you'll be able to understand the other person. Also, it's a human dignity. Listening is giving her the due dignity. Okay. The mother tells the child when she doesn't like, I won't listen to you. When the mother tells the child, I won't listen to you, only then the child is broken down into pieces. It hugs the
Mhm.
pillow, begins to cry. Okay. Beating is okay. She's able to bear it. But when the mother tells the child, I won't listen to you, she's totally disturbed. Okay. She's totally confused. So listening is very important. When you listen to the other person, you're respecting the other person. You're giving dignity to the other person. You accept him, you acknowledge him, and you love him. There are so many meaning for the word listening. And this listening, attitude of listening, is eroded by social media and AI. That's where we are paid. In social media, in AI, everything is fast, quick. instant. Okay, so slowly we have to orient present day youth. So it's okay to be fast, it's okay to get information, but simultaneously develop the attitude of listening, develop the art of listening to people patiently. Yeah.
Beautiful, Doc Maggie. I just need to repeat that. Listen to understand,
Yeah.
listen patiently, listen with interest, listen to support. I think that's what's missing most of the time. We
Yes.
don't listen to support and with empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy is such a beautiful word because you're able to put yourself in the shoes of the other person, in the lives of the other person. And that's where you get that connection. Because social media, technology cannot give you that connection.
There's one more thing, solar. The many counselors are very familiar with this technique, solar. So,
Soul.
solar, Soler.
Okay.
It's
We have so many letters. We have to put that down.
sit straight and stand straight. Okay.
Okay.
So that you look at the other person. In social media, you can fake. In AI, you can fake. It's indirect communication. Whereas in listening, face to face, you have to look at the face of the other person. Only then the feeling component, the information component, you'll be able to understand. So sit straight or stand straight. Social media, you can even lie down and look at your
I'm
messages.
sleeping.
Yeah. For openness. You have to listen to the other people with openness. You have to be transparent. You have to be open. But whereas social media is full of, artificial information. I'm not generalizing. Okay, quite a lot of information in social media and deep fake and AI. People fake each other. Okay, so number two, open mind. Be frank. And be truthful, be honest. And L stands for lean forward. You gently lean forward so that you show your interest in listening to the other person. And definitely E for empathy and R for relax. Any human communication should be held in a relaxed atmosphere, relaxed ambience. Okay. You can't be tensed, while you get the message. But whereas on the other side, when you are in AI or in social media, sometime since because it's too emotional, highly personalized, you also show lots of emotions, and sometimes you lose yourself. Sometimes you lose your senses. So this is one difference between the effective listening, the art of listening, and the social media and the AI, etc.
you know, Beautifully said, Doc Maggie, because we're talking about reclaiming the town well. And the concept of the town well is people gather together because that's a common area where they get their water and they talk face to face. They
Yes.
know the needs of the other, they understand the other. And I think that's what you're trying to bring in this conversation. That let's go back, reclaim that space where we are present to each other, that we acknowledge the person as a person, not just as a meme or an avatar, but as a real person with feelings. And when the video talked about later on synthetic care, sometimes young people or people go to their gadgets, their technology to be able to communicate, but still they feel lonely, still they feel alone because they're missing that factor.
You're absolutely correct, Pi. The attraction towards social media, attraction towards synthetic media, make them somebody different. As a result, the direct impact is the youth, present day youth are, they love loneliness. They become aloof, even in the family. Okay.
Notice that too. But
Parents tell me they come back from the school, come back from the school, college, straight away they go to the rooms, okay? And they take the mobile, they take the computer, and they sit quietly. And there's no time for us to converse, to engage in meaningful conversation. I have plenty to talk to my daughter. I have plenty to talk to my son, but they are not there. They tell me, don't disturb. I have something to do. I don't know what they are doing. They are not able to give time for us. They are aloof, They distance themselves from the family, even they distance from the community. They don't mingle with others in the community. This is a very, very serious problem, and it is our responsibility to bring them back to the wells. Okay,
Yeah.
we have to reclaim the present, the face-to-face communication, the physical presence. This is one of the reasons why we promote community meals. Okay, come what may, whatever may be, you have to be physically present for the dinner. You
Yeah.
can't you can't afford to miss the dinner. Okay, you can't afford to miss the dinner. You can't afford to miss the breakfast, miss the lunch. We have to have the meals together.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree on that.
During that prayer, sometime, place like Goa and India, even in the evenings, there is rosary. The entire family kneel down and they say rosary. When I heard it from a sister a few months ago, I was poked. I felt extremely happy. Look at the orientation of the families. They come together, they pray together, they dine together, discuss matters together. Decisions are made together in the family. But today's media, both the AI and social media, segregate the youth from the community, segregate youth from the family. They want to be alone, they want to be aloof, etc. So as rightly pointed out by you, we have to orient today's young people. It's okay, you may be in social media, AI, etc., whatever the influence you have on them, etc. Never mind. But be present in the family. Talk to us. Engage with us. Talk to the poor. Talk to the lonely. Talk to the grandfather. Talk to the grandmother. Be part of an association in the parish, in the church, in the community. Do something. Engage in social work. There's nothing equal to that. The pleasure the happiness, the joy you get in such activity, you won't get anyway.
That's true.
Social media cannot give. The AI cannot give. When people tell you, thank you very much. Thank you very much for spending time with me. Yeah, valuable. The time and the place, they are very valuable commodities. We have to use them appropriately. I fully agree with you. Yeah.
That's true. And I'm glad that you brought it outside the family. I'm sure, at least in the Philippines, Sundays, Holy Mass, weekends, that's respected. But I'm glad that you pointed out that you have to be part of the community as well. Even in schools, here we have hybrid classes. I think the schools recognize the importance of having face-to-face classes, while the hybrid, the online classes help, in terms of traffic, heat, etc. There's still a need to be able to socialize with the classmates, with the teachers, and the community. One thing that I get upset when people say, okay, I'm going to do something for my family, and it stops there. They have to realize that the family is beyond the four walls of the home. It's your neighbor, the person living in the other town. You are my family. We have to recognize that humanity is a big family, and we need to be able to go back to our respective wells so that engagement, so that relationships will always be alive.
You're absolutely correct. One of the direct impact of social media and AI is the mental health of young people. Okay, the mental health. When you think of mental health, I can define mental health using once again, 5 C's. Okay, 5 C's. Number one, connection. When you're not able to connect yourself with your father, mother, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, grandmother, grandfather, the people around you are facing a serious problem. You are
Mhm.
mentally affected. Number one C is connection. Number two is coping. You're not able to cope up with the stress, anxiety, stress, etc. This is where you need the family. In olden days, in the joint family system, if you have some stress, immediately your grandmother will come and tell you, "Come on, don't worry.
Yeah, yeah.
You know how to solve it. You have the power. You have the talent. You have the potential. You're a good boy. You're a talented boy. Grandmother counsels you. She puts you in a comfort zone. But today, since they are alone, there is nobody to counsel. There is no one to express, listen to you, hear you, etc. So the coping mechanism is affected very badly. And number three, confidence. You lose yourself. There's no confidence in you, self-confidence. When a person doesn't have self-confidence, he is not mentally safe, he's not mentally healthy. Okay. And number four, the character. Now, character means you have to be sincere, you have to be frank, you have to be transparent, etc. But whereas in social media, in deep fake, etc., artificiality and fake, fake communication and telling lies, and you want to be somebody else. The NLP, the science which I believe in, says God has given you all the resources you need. God has given you all the resources you need. What you have to do is you have to have an access to those resources, and that's it. Okay. But whereas you have all the treasure in you, but you're searching for treasure outside. You're searching for treasure and gladness and joy and happiness outside. This is a very serious problem. And the final C is competence. Competence to solve your problem, the competence to decide, make decisions. People who are addicted to social media and AI, they are not able to make decisions. It affects your decision making skills. Okay. So on one side, competence, another side, connection, another side, coping, another side, character and confidence. When you lose all the five C's, you're not mentally healthy. Okay. And earlier, your father, mother, brother, sister, grandparents help you to gain yourself, to help you
Yeah.
to gain mental health. But today, you are alone. There is no counselor. There is no family members to support you. So as a result, you suffer a lot. So this is a very important. That is the reason why we need to live with people, to move with people. We need physical presence. We need to be present in the family, in the community, in the parishes, in the associations, etc. Yeah.
No matter how uncomfortable and unpredictable human beings are, no matter how much they hurt you, they're the ones who make you complete you. The first episode we talked about the beauty of being broken. Because in our brokenness, that's where grace enters. That's where we make relationships. That's where we see the need for other people. And that will build relationship. And I think that is one of the reasons why recently we had a lot of young people having mental issues because of what you said. Because they now, they distance themselves from families, from relationships. They talk to their uh, gadget, which will not really give them that comfort that they need. Doc Maggie, I was right in just having you as the main speaker because, we can talk for 2 more days and you have a lot more to share. But, we'll have to wrap this up and probably, have another session and you give me more alphabets. We have to, something to close, Doc Maggie.
Okay, just one more point I want to, the thing is today's youth should undergo self-introspection. Okay.
Okay.
They have to think about themselves, the strength, the weakness, the opportunities and the threats and the God-given resources. NLP says there are no big brain, there are no small brains. All the brains are one and the same.
Mhm.
Each and every brain are one and the same. Okay. So that means you have all the resources. You have to spend time to discover those talents, potential resources within you. This is number one. Okay, don't search for don't search for happiness elsewhere. And number two, what you have to do is you have to do digital detox. Okay, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, you have to put your house in order. You think of yourself how much time you have to restrict your time. Okay, only 2 hours for social media, 2 hours for this. Rest of the time, I have to focus on my work, on my studies, on my life, personality development, etc. So screen fasting can be a good help. Once a week or twice a week, no mobile phone, no computer. Okay, screen fasting. Then digital minimalism. There's no point in having two, three cell phones, two, three computers, etc. Have one. Have one computer, one mobile, and minimum apps. Don't try to have too many applications. Okay, one or two apps which are needed. So there is a difference between desire and the useful ones.
Yeah.
Have only the useful ones. And finally, what I would say, try to develop your right brain. Okay, we are primarily predominantly left brain people. We are in the school. Left brain is reading, writing, alphabet, reasoning, fighting, debating, etc. Whereas right brain is a creative brain. Okay, so when you develop your right brain, your ability to go for options increases. You're more flexible. So how do we develop my right brain? Singing, dancing, painting and art, meeting people, getting wet in the rain and enjoying the nature, enjoying the leaves, enjoying the worms, playing in the mud. All those activities are right brain activity. When you develop your brain, in that level, you become more creative, you have more options in life, etc. So thereby, your dependency over social media, dependency over AI will reduce. Okay, I don't say AI and social media are absolutely bad things. There are a lot of good things also, but don't get addicted. Don't be too much dependent upon social media and AI. Trust yourself, put all faith in yourself. You have all the talent, skill, potential, resources. Develop yourself, and you can make a very meaningful contribution to yourself, to your family, to your community, to your parish, your church, and ultimately to the society. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc Marty. And as you said, social media, AI, technology is not bad. It's like a knife, it's how you use it. And as long as we use it properly, it will be very helpful for us. But we have to remind our audience, our young people, that although they can probably have a relationship with their technology, it's a synthetic relationship. It's an illusion. It can never replace a real human relationship. And what makes us human? It's that. It's being able to connect with people. It's being able to face people with dignity, to listen patiently, to understand them, to support them, and to be with the community, and to bring back that that face-to-face engagement in our will. So thank you very much, Doc Maggie, and thank you everyone for staying with us in our third episode. This I Am Still Human web series is brought to us in cooperation with SIGNIS Philippines, and also Doc Maggie is here, no? So we'd like to thank SIGNIS India. We also thank Radio Veritas Asia, TV Maria, and the Episcopal Commission on Social Communication of the Philippines for all the support they've been given. So thank you, Doc Maggie. I was right to have you as the only guest because you have so much to share, and we hope to be able to talk to you again.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Pai.
thank you very much. So everyone, the Padlet, the QR code is there for comments, questions, suggestions, and any insights you want to share with us. So good night, everybody. Good night, Doc Maggie.
I am iron and will always be human.